We're here.
We're here, and I have a little explaining to do. But first, hello, I am BB3, and this is Nettie with MelNetteLivingFreeZipCodeless. We are broadcasting from both of our YouTube channels right now. You can find the link to Nettie down below in my description if you're watching on my end. And on her end, I believe I'm down in the description as well.
I have. We're live on our channel as well, and BB is linked in our About page. So if you can, click on her link, show her some love if you're not connected to her yet. So we are going live together.
All right, and then this is something new that we started where we're doing a conversation. You're welcome to come up on the screen with us. If we know you, you don't have to turn your camera on if you're not comfortable, or you can turn it on, whichever way you like. But we're welcoming anyone that wants to come up and discuss and tell us anything that you know that we might be missing and just help us learn more about the case. Or you can do that in the chat. You can do that in the chat as well. That's up to you. A little explanation for our delay. I am not at home. I am at the tattoo shop. I'm not getting tattoos, but I'm not home, so I'm running this from my phone. We normally run it from my computer, so figuring out how to show the slideshow and any information. We had a little bump, not to mention that my StreamYard wouldn't load through the normal web browser, so it's been a rocky road, but we're here. We're finally here.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah. And did you want me to click on the comments, baby, or can you do it on your side? If not, I can do it over here if it's easier.
I can get it, actually. That's the one thing I can do during the stream, is I can click on the comments. So let's go ahead and welcome everybody in. We have Thrifty Angela. Hello, hello. Hitch Up and Toe. How you doing tonight? We have Tommy Travels. Hello. There won't be a whole lot of architecture tonight, just a little.
No.
Nana, hello and welcome. Linda Barker, hello, hello. Catherine Cook, hello.
Thank you all for coming in.
One solved mystery. I actually was trying to reply back to you when you left this comment because it made me giggle. Because I said we'd be running a little late, and then they put, talk amongst yourself, I heard.
Right.
They've been looking forward to this case. So
yeah.
Now, as far as the dowels, it's not my dowels. This place is pretty creepy, so there are some dowels here as well. That's why I feel so at home.
Really? Oh, wow.
Maybe if we have time, I'll show you some creepy dowels afterwards. But the real Robert Rockwell, hello, hello.
Thank you for coming in.
We have Ashley, Jen Joy. We have Kim. Yes, a tattoo shop. A lot of my longtime friends on here probably haven't seen the full amount of work I've gotten done, but I have almost a full arm now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if I can you let us know if you can hear us okay? We just want to make sure you can hear us in the chat.
Yeah, let us know if there's any sound issues. Hello, Shanna. Larice, you say thank you for sharing out the live. I appreciate that.
Yes.
BB on location. Y'all, there's cameras and a person here. Y'all know I usually do this in the privacy of my own little cave downstairs, so this is nerve-wracking.
Oh, wow.
Shaco.
Just kidding.
I should always read your comments before I put them up. Looks like everybody can.
Yeah, sound is good.
Great. So again, we're going to do this a little bit differently. We do have some pictures and stuff to share, but I would love it if you would put put a hand or a heart or some kind of emoji in the chat if you have heard of the JonBenét Ramsey case. I'd love to know if you've even heard of it, because some people haven't, which blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, it did take place back in 1996, so it's a pretty old case. So.
It is. But actually, when I was doing research, I saw that there was a video from the dad, and she has a stepbrother or a half brother. I didn't know she had a half brother. I knew she had a brother, but I didn't know she had a half brother.
The oldest, right? Is that who you're talking about? The oldest?
He's 20 years older than her.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait,
I just found that out.
Yeah, he's 20 years older than her. Half brother was 20 years older. But they released a video interview with the half brother and the dad 6 days ago. So it's really recent, the info I ran.
Yeah.
He was 20 at the time of the crime. Yeah, I think he was.
Oh, okay.
I know he was 20 at the time of the crime. The crime was 27 years ago. But I think he's 20 years older than her. I could be wrong. He's a lot older than her, though. He's quite older.
Yeah.
60 Minutes are doing update on the case. Yes, that might be actually what I watched, was the 60 Minutes update. Well, let's start back at the beginning. So JonBenét Ramsey was 6 years old on Christmas Day in 1996. Her mother woke up, went down the stairs, and on this spiral staircase, which we'll show a picture of later, she found a ransom note. And it was basically telling the father that, you know, JonBenét would be returned to him, and then safely they would get a phone call. It was a ransom note. There's been a lot of talk about that ransom note. But instantly it seemed the police leaned more towards the parents and not really look anywhere else. They were like really looking hard at the parents and the family for the crime. And through the years, that's been a lot of the speculation, is that one of the brother did it, or that the family did it, or they knew who did it. But it's still to this day an unsolved crime. One Solved has a lot of info on this case. He was a sophomore. So John Andrews was a sophomore at Colorado Boulder in 96.
Yep.
All right.
Do you want to see if we can pull it up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull up the video and show a few pictures of the mom and dad and JonBenét. I think and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, what captured my attention, and I think added to the speculation about the parents' guilt, was the JonBenét was beauty pageants, all the time beauty pageants. She was made to look very much older than the 6-year-old that she was. Blonde hair, blue eyes, makeup, perfect teeth.
Yeah.
And I think that back then people were very starting to be very against the pageant world, and thought negatively about it. But take into consideration, the mom did pageants too. She was a winner of a lot of the pageants. You thought the handyman was charged. No, there's actually been no official charges. Yeah. Something that I found, I'm just going to throw out some random things that I found very interesting. I found it very interesting that the family was cleared, hold on, 2 weeks after the crime. Just 2 weeks after the crime, the family was completely cleared with DNA evidence. Their DNA was checked against the DNA evidence left on JonBenét Ramsey, and it was a stranger's DNA. Not only did their DNA not match, but it was a stranger's DNA that was left behind. I think it's strange.
I found that too, that with everything that was taking place, that they knew nobody in that family had anything to do with her death 2 weeks after.
And
So
yet,
I thought that was very shocking.
and yet the police led the public
Mm-hmm.
and allowed the public to believe that the family could be responsible when there was DNA showing that they weren't.
Yeah.
Oh, her eyes were
Got some
green.
new people. Oh. We got some new people that just came into the chat. Okay, Lucy Warren's World. Thank you
Hello,
for coming
Lucy.
in. Mm-hmm.
So were you able to pull up the video?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay. The
Oh, it
pageant
looks like
thing.
it's still loading.
Yeah, then toddlers and tiaras became very, very popular. You are correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that just because the pageant thing for kids wasn't as big before toddlers and tiaras, right? It was like kind of behind the scenes
Yeah.
thing. That seeing a child this dressed up, like if you want to scroll through a few more of her pictures. Oh, is this one just loading? This is that one.
Yeah, I'm going to see it. Let me click on it if I can move it. If you can see what I'm doing.
I can see you scrolling, but I don't know if it's moving the pictures.
Yeah. Let me try play. Yeah, it's just loading.
And can you pull it up the other way then?
Okay, so hold. Oh, it's starting to load these.
It is showing them.
Okay. Can you see that box in the middle too? Yeah. On this. Yeah, I can see it.
It might be better to pull it up the other way, because it seems like it's taken a lot of computer strength for yours to broadcast it that way.
Yeah. I'm going to remove it and see if I can pull it back up. Okay. Let me see what it's doing.
Oh no, One Solved Mystery. This is an open discussion. This is what I want. I want to be given any and all facts that I don't know. A lot of the time I dig into the true crime stuff and find everything myself that I can find, but I feel like if I talk to everybody else who's doing research as well, I could learn so much more. So much more info can be shared with me, and then I soak in a lot more of it. So that's exactly why we're doing the live discussions once a month, so that we can all research it and then come together. Next month, we're going to do the Menendez brothers. Do you know about them? It's buffering for Nettie. Is it buffering for me and Nettie, or just me, or just Nettie? I wouldn't legislate.
I think I'm buffering.
Yeah, I think trying to pull that through StreamYard is causing the problem. But if you share it the other way, I think it would work fine. So what is, everybody that's watching, I want to know what your thoughts are. Now that we told you there was DNA, did you know there was DNA clearing the family ahead of time? Hey, Christina, no worries. Thanks for being here. You know what? I totally forgot to share this out in the Discord. Can someone share it in the Discord?
Okay, so let's see.
You didn't know about the DNA. Either Shanna didn't know about it. Kim didn't know about it.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So is this the This is the video, not off of, you're playing it off your computer, not off of the file that we loaded to StreamYard.
Yeah, this is the file off of Dropbox. And I'm playing it from the share screen on screen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah. So am I still buffering? Am I okay?
You're fine
Can
now.
you guys okay? Okay.
The DNA might have cleared them in some way, but I'm sure they were still under suspicion. Oh, 100%. 100%. It seemed like, from what my research has shown me, I could be wrong, but it seems like no matter what, the police spent so much time focusing on the family that they didn't want to be wrong. So they didn't backtrack. They just kept going with their focus being the family, even after they found out it wasn't them. The DNA was not checked against the family's DNA. Yeah, it was. The DNA 2 weeks after
2
the
weeks.
crime. Yeah, within
Yeah.
2 weeks of the crime, the DNA was tested against the mother, the father, and the children.
Yeah.
I think they're harmful.
Mm-hmm.
I remember they kept saying the dad did it, right? That's what it's been a lot. The
Yeah.
stranger's
Yeah.
DNA is considered strange because they were not allowed to check against. No, they did check against the family. That's the misinformation that's been out there. Because I actually watched an interview with the retired Denver DA who worked at the case, Mitch Morrissey. He now owns the United Data Connection Company, and it provides DNA, familia searching, and forensic genetic genealogy analysis. He runs that whole thing, and he started that because of the JonBenét case. But yeah, he was the DA back then, and or like pretty high up back then, and he talked about how the DNA was done on them 2 weeks after the crime. Although this case bothered me because my niece was 6 at the same time, I looked exactly like her. I found out while watching something on it. Hello, Pam.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, PSV Odyssey.
Same.
What I think is, I think they focused on the dad because he was the one that actually found her. You know, when they first started looking through the house, they didn't look. They called it a cellar, which was a basement, and they didn't look down there. And he happened to go down there, and he found her.
Yeah, that's what they were saying too, was everybody was like, well, how did he find her? And they didn't find her. The police didn't do a good job searching. They didn't go in that room. Like, they just didn't go in that room.
Yeah.
Joe, that's what I'm saying. 27 years later from this crime, 27 years ago this crime happened, and I am just now finding out about the DNA. Like, how did we all not know that sooner?
I'm trying to move the screen a little more.
They have 14 markers. Yeah, you can play through some of her pictures and family stuff. They have 14 markers for the UMI, unidentified male, a DNA found under her fingernails on both sides of her long johns and commingled with the BLOOD in her things. I also, one solved mystery, you probably know this more than I do. There was a paintbrush used. I know this is terrible, guys, but there was a paintbrush used to do something to her, and I believe they found DNA on that also. And I could be wrong, though.
And did you also read about that they believe she was tasered twice?
Pardon me?
That she was tasered?
Yes.
Twice?
So the other thing is she had the marks that looked like it would be a taser,
Mhm.
and the medical examiner found these marks on her neck and I believe her shoulder. I could be wrong on that location. And he believed that they were done by a taser. Now you have to understand, back in 1996, a taser was not a well-known thing. It wasn't something that people walked around with or had. It was relatively new technology. And he had seen those marks before, but wanted to prove that that's what it was. So he went and got a pig that, was not alive, and he tested a stun gun on the pig multiple different times and found matching marks to the marks she had, but the police didn't take that into consideration. They ignored him about that. The DNA was put into CODIS, but it did not come back with a match. The intruder is not in the system. Then there's the issue of forced entry. The person would have to know how to enter their house, since a lot of things that would have been disturbed in the beginning were not. So the GA Mitch Morrissey guy, he and another investigator was showing where the intruder would have gotten out. There was a suitcase right by a window, and then there was broken glass on the suitcase, and JonBenét's DNA was found in the suitcase.
The suitcase, yes.
Yeah, she was in, like, they believe she was in the suitcase at some point.
Yeah,
and that
I think they were thinking that he was going to try to take her. He was trying to get her in the suitcase and take her with him. And yeah, that her DNA was found inside that suitcase.
Yeah. But there wasn't a lot done as far as that goes either, because again, they didn't believe that there was an intruder. They believed that it was the family.
Yeah, it was just like a botch from the get-go.
Well, somebody was saying, so the DA guy, Mitch, was saying that they were having sometimes 2 murders a night back in the 90s in Colorado, in Boulder. Then somebody else was saying that it wasn't like they ever had any murders in Boulder. They just never had it, so they weren't experienced enough to do anything with it, right? So I've heard 2 stories. I'm not really sure which is true on why they dropped the ball, but has it ever been rechecked in the system now? So Nettie shared some information with me right before we were going live about a possible suspect.
Yeah. His name is Gary Olivia. And apparently, when this took place back in December 26, 1996, he made a phone call to his best friend and talked about something happening to a little girl. And this is crazy. I never even heard of this guy. And I don't think you have either, BB. Have you?
No, I had never heard of him until you shared that information with me. And we actually have pictures and some of his letters. But he apparently called his friend, his childhood friend, on the night of the murder and said that he had harmed a little girl. And then the next day his friend, and then just hung up. And the next day his friend saw on the news the JonBenét thing. And so he called the police department and said, hey, my friend said he did this. They didn't get back to him. So 3 months later, he called again and said, hey, my friend did this. Like, I have information for you. And then his friend ended up sending him like letters confessing to it. And then in May of 2016, the friend, found a whole Pinterest page that Gary, this guy, the suspect, Gary, had been posting like letters, pictures. It was like a memorial to her that the guy who said that he did
Oh,
this,
yeah.
and he's also a known P word, this guy is. But I
Yeah.
don't know that they've tested his DNA against the DNA, so I'm not sure.
I know, I want to say 2 weeks after this happened to JonBenét, he was in another house. He was only a block away from JonBenét's house, right?
That's the other thing. There was another little girl. I want to
And
say it was 2 months later. There was another
mhm,
little girl that less than a 5-minute drive from the Ramsey's house was attacked in her bed while the mom and her were sleeping. The mom woke up to sounds. When the mom came in,
yeah.
the intruder jumped off the second balcony and escaped. And the police didn't try to connect the two. They just said it again. It was
Well, you know
parents.
what they said is JonBenét and this little girl knew each other, and they were at the same pageant.
They knew each other. They went to the same school. They went to the same dance, or maybe not the same school. They went to the same dance class, and they competed
Yeah.
in the same
Yeah.
shows. I want to read really quick. So one solved mystery said, Officer French, he did not look behind that door because it was latched from the outside with a block of wood, and he was looking for a means of exit. The third piece to that paintbrush has never been found. Oh, man. Yes, that's one of the things that that her dad struggles and her brother struggles with really bad is the pain that she must
Yeah.
have felt because she was so small.
Yeah.
On her hip and her cheek, the air taser brand stun gun that Detective Smith believed was used required registration at the time. Yeah, so like they were new and you had to register them. So again, kind of an odd choice for that kind of crime. The butler pantry door on the north side of the home was found ajar that morning. Crime scene photo number 70. Found at 6 a.m. by friend John Fernie and seen by a neighbor to the north, Scott Gibbons. Hi, Parawoman. A paintbrush. Case closed. Being tased is painful. In 1991, 11-year-old Jace Lee Duggard was stunned unconscious for her abduction, so it's quite possible. Yeah, I do believe 100% that it's possible, and I don't understand why they didn't. The medical examiner who examined her body went on to do research and prove that it was the stun gun, and yet it was ignored.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go to Gary Olivia's photos. This is the home, which, by the way, if you remember back in the day, they would show the front of the home. It looked like a nice home, but it didn't look huge. This place is huge.
Yeah, that is really big. And I
It's
was trying to get you the other pictures, but it is not allowing me to scroll past because it hasn't fully loaded everything.
fully loaded yet. So I wanted to talk about the house for a minute because I found it. I knew it was a big house, but I could see how they wouldn't hear anything because it's a $6.95 million home. It's a 1927's home. It was built in 1927. It's 7,571 square feet. Again, I love architecture, so the homes interest me. But it's 5 bedrooms, 5 full bathrooms, and 3.5 bathrooms. So just thinking about the size and looking at that picture, it is incredibly large.
Yeah.
Looking at her autopsy photos, one is chilling, but you can definitely make out that he used his hands. Yes, and I think he had like a rope with maybe it was a paintbrush thing. I could be wrong. One side, there was a piece of wood on it.
Yeah.
Gary Olivia is a creeper, but his DNA was collected, compared, and cleared in 2001. He just recently was released from jail. There's the staircase in 1996. This is where the letter was found. The ransom note was found. And then this is at current, 2023.
Wow.
I kind of wondered, I hadn't had a lot of time to research the Gary Olivia person, but to me, I wondered if he was, because there are people that claim responsibility for crimes, and I was wondering, because I remember something about if you're arrested, they collect your DNA now. Like, they have the right to collect your DNA, so automatically they would, I would guess, run it against that if he was claiming that he did it. But was he the teen from next door to the family? No, he was not. The Amy attack? What do you mean on that one? One solved. Yes. Oh, yes. So on the girl down the street that was like less than 5 minutes away, that happened just a little bit after JonBenét.
Oh, yeah.
They threw away the bed sheets.
That is just crazy.
That's where she was attacked. Why would the police department not keep those?
Amy was the other girl that was attacked.
Yes. She survived, which I can't imagine what that has done to her mind through the years. How many people were on the registry in that area? I'm not sure. Who is Dr. Michael Doberson? One solved. Currently it sits at 7,500 and something, 571 square feet. But they said there's been multiple add-ons through the years. Oh wow, Kim, that's a huge house. JonBenét's room was the new addition, the West Wing. Must be nice to call my home has a west wing, a north.
I know, right?
While the rest of her family was in the original east wing. Who's cleaning all those rooms? Not me. I guess if you got the money to have a house like that, you probably have the money to have a cleaning crew. Yes, Amy was the other girl attacked. The complete lack of evidence. I think Jeffrey Epstein was. So I've heard rumors of that. I've heard rumors that the family was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Again, rumors. Don't all homes have a west wing? I do want to say this. Anything and everything we discuss here on this channel is our opinions and what we have researched and found publicly. We don't know it to be 100% fact, so please make sure you're doing your own research. One solved mystery. Would you like to come up and share anything that you think we would find interesting, or any facts that we're missing that you think are really important for everyone to know, or what your theories are, or anyone for that matter? You guys can all come up if you'd like.
Definitely.
My house doesn't even have a west window. The Ramseys used the same attorney that... Okay, I know that name, but I can't place who that is. I'm a bit phone shy. I'll stay in the chat, but thank you. No problems. Completely understand.
No problem.
I appreciate everything you're sharing. I just want to give the opportunity for you to join if you'd like to join the discussion up here.
And what we're showing right now is just when Gary is released. And this is the document on that, the Perot hearing documentation.
I wanted to see if we could read a little bit of the letters that he wrote his friend. This is the Gary guy who claimed responsibility. He actually said in one of the...
Right there.
Yeah. Can you read that, Nettie?
Yeah, it says, I never loved anyone like I did JonBenét, and yet I let her slip and her head bashed in half, and I watched her die. It was an accident.
Even that, though, what he says right there is he says she slipped and hit her head, and like that's not how she passed away. So I don't know if didn't she pass away from choking? Yeah. Okay, that's the Epstein lawyer. Got it. I knew there was a connection there with the Epstein, but
and this is the same.
So this is a man that was in prison and had contacted his friend the night that, well, as the story goes, he contacted his friend the night of the JonBenét Ramsey death and told him that he just hurt a little girl. And then from there, the man has written many letters confessing to it, still to this day is confessing to it. But apparently, from what some unsolved mystery here in the chat said, the DNA has been checked and it doesn't match. So,
and what doesn't make sense is when he called his friend, this happened before it was even released on the news.
But part of me wonders, though, if the DNA didn't match. So it can't have happened if the DNA didn't match, right? DNA doesn't lie. Science doesn't lie. So is the friend trying to garner, like, publicity? Is he trying to become famous off of this? If so, that's...
He said they could even check his phone records back then, but, you know, look how long ago it was where he actually called him. Yeah.
Right. Pentacle hemorrhaging in the eyes, half moon claw marks on the neck, and only 8 to 10 cc's of blood on her skull indicates the head injury likely happened last, not first. Oh, and then he also... Yeah, and this is the... What is his name? Gary Olivia. This is the guy that says that he did it. And this is him at the
1 year visual.
Yeah, the 1 year visual for JonBenét.
Yeah, I think it may say on the next. Oh, that's a picture. Okay.
I think if Jeff E. had anything to do with it, she would have been found years later on an island. I don't know if... So the rumors, I remember the rumors being that the family was wealthy and that they were... is it okay to say pimping their daughter out? Those were the rumors. But I find that really difficult to believe. But then again, I couldn't ever wrap my head around someone doing that to a child. I could never see that. Does he know who it was? Maybe that's it. Maybe the guy that's accepting responsibility for it actually met the person who did it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Michael Vale's story does not... Now, Michael Vale is the friend of Gary.
Yeah.
And Michael Vale's story does not add up. He said he read it the next morning on the headline of the LA Times. However, that was not headline until at the earliest, the 28th.
And I was guessing that too, BB, because he called him on apparently on the 26th, early morning on the 26th. But yet, he wakes up and then finds it in the paper. So how could it, like one solved mystery is indicating, for it to already be headlined in the paper?
Yeah. That's why I kind of wonder if the Michael Vale guy is trying to profit off of this versus, like,
What we're showing
maybe.
here is a picture that Gary drew. He at JonBenét, and he worshipped her as God. So he has her on a cross. So that is the image you're seeing.
Why would they put their 6-year-old daughter in a wing by herself? They were just wealthy. They had a huge house, and I think from the view of the house, I don't know if we can go, I don't know how hard it is to go back to that, so I don't want you to have to if it's hard, but it kind of looks like a castle, and like the one wing of the house looks like a tower a little bit to me. And I think those rooms were huge. So you put her over there with her room and her playroom. I think
See if I can go
that
back
was,
to it.
yeah, I think that was normal for them
Right there.
because they lived a wealthy life. They didn't have, like, yeah, see how it's kind of like a tower going up. I don't know. I think that for them, there wasn't a thought about somebody coming in their home. They thought they were well protected in that house. You know what I mean? On the 27th, it was nothing but a small article in the Boulder Daily Camera. Come on, guys, think. We only have 10 more minutes to solve. We got 10 minutes to solve this cold case that's been going on for 27 years, okay? I think it's 27 years, right? He's so creepy looking.
He is, right?
Now, he is a known P word, guys. This guy is not a good guy.
Yeah.
So the fact that he is claiming responsibility for this doesn't surprise me because he's not right in the head.
No.
Now, I did find something interesting, though. Like a handwriting specialist showed the difference in words that were written on the ransom note and then Patty's writing, the mom's writing. And they showed that the E and the T were always grouped together. And it did look very similar, the ransom note and Patsy's writing. And to me, that I don't quite understand is why did that look so similar? If you have an idea about that one solved, or anyone in the chat, I would love to hear it. Oh, that'd be wild, Shanna. He knows who did it, I think. You think so, Christina? Maybe he was in jail with them. And what is this one, Nettie?
Yeah. This is a poem. He was writing poems about her. And let me see if I can see. I can't read the top of it.
I think you have it on your phone because you sent it to me in a text. You might have it on your phone to read it.
Yeah, let me do it that way. Okay. It says, my heart was split and a flower appeared. Let me move this. And it bore fruit for my God. You split me. You tore my heart open, filled me with love. So it's just a poem where he was talking about how he felt about her. I knew you as, I'm trying to make it large because it's small on my phone too. I knew you as myself. My eyes are radiant with your spirit. My nostrils filled with your fragrance. My ears delight in your music, and my face is covered with your dew. Blessed are the people who are planted on your earth, in your garden, who grew as your tree and flowers grow. Through darkness to light, there's roots plunge into darkness, their face torn towards the light. And then at the bottom it says there is infinite space in your garden and people are welcome here. All they need to do is enter. I love you, JonBenét. It would be worth it to take the blame for you.
So see, even that right there, it would be worth it to take the blame for you. Seems like he's just more obsessed with her and off his rocker than like actually have done it.
Yeah.
So I think part of why I like true crime so much is because I am the total opposite. Like I have a hard time killing an insect, right? So like harming a person, I don't think there's any way, shape, or form that I would be able to do something like that. So I always try to look into the psychology or try to wrap my mind around someone's mind that is so sick and twisted. I struggle with it though. Maybe someone in the police department. So my question is, if we go back to the taser, whoever did this had the ability to have a taser, so that kind of makes you really wonder. Patsy was rated a 4.5 out of 5 that she did not author the note. Interesting, because what I saw was comparisons, like certain words right next to each other, and they did look very similar. Again, I'm not a professional though, so. There were said to be at least 30 other P words with a closer, persons of interest with a closer handwriting match from Paula Woodward of CrimeCon 2022. Interesting. It's someone who knows the family and knows about the layout of the house. Well, that was the other thing they said was that every Christmas they would open their house up for tours because they decorated it for Christmas, and like they full on decorated for like this competition thing, and so people would come in and do walkthrough tours of their house for Christmas time. It was something they did every year, so it could have been anybody that came to one of those walkthrough tours, or it could have been somebody that worked for them gardening, or it could have been a lot of different people. But I think in order to know about that spare room, it had to be somebody that knew something. The Ramseys were away from that house that evening for 5 hours while at the white Christmas party that night. Plenty of time for an intruder to have written the note and familiarized themselves with the layout. Very true. They also believe that the intruder was in the house when they came home because they set their alarm when they came in. So had somebody come in after they had already arrived home, then that person would have set off the alarm. So I think they believe the person was there. A neighbor, Joe Barnwell, witnessed suspicious looking young man approaching the Ramseys' house while they were out that evening. Christina thinks someone who did work on the house. He was obsessed with her and watched her pageants. Attendees at the white Christmas party reported seeing a suspicious black Jaguar driving past the Whites' party at least 5 times on a dead-end neighborhood. Police reports in Woodward's book. See, now that seems fitting to me. A black Jaguar. Somebody who had access to that type of weapon. I believe it was somebody higher up. I don't think it was like somebody that took care of the bushes outside. I think it was police or someone wealthy and friend of the family. Bulldog writes poems like that to BB3 all the time.
I saw that.
Ramseys had actually not participated in the Boulder Christmas tour since 1994. Yeah, but it was only 1996 when they passed, or when she was killed. So the layout of the house hadn't changed. They didn't use their alarm. John's set has alarm clock, but they never used it. Now, in the interview I just seen with him, he said that he had the alarm set that night.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's what he said in the thing that I watched recently. Every picture of that guy makes him look like he's about to request free bird at the local bar. Oh, the Gary guy. I think John Ramsey looks incredible for 80. This is him at
Doesn't he?
80,
Yeah.
80 years old.
But I was surprised because for some reason I thought he wasn't here anymore. I knew JonBenét's mother passed, but for some reason I thought John did too. So
yeah, I thought he did too. But apparently he's 80, and John Andrews, his son, the half brother to JonBenét, has said that he will continue the fight for justice until they have answers, until they have somebody. This man right here, he said he's going to continue the fight for his father. I didn't find anything more recent about her other brother, though. They didn't talk about him not one single bit. I haven't found anything since the man went on Dr. Phil.
What's it? Yeah, I was going to say Dr. Phil.
I'm thinking that after his Dr. Phil appearance and everybody thinking that he was weird for the smiling during the interview and stuff, I think he probably just disappeared and was like, never mind, everybody thinks I'm weird.
Yeah,
imagine
right.
Imagine how hurtful that was to that poor young man. That poor young man been through hell and back. His sister was murdered. Like she was like his best friend. We played together all the time and whatnot. And then she's taken from him. And then years later, he's like, okay, I'm going to come out and talk as an adult about this thing that I went through. And then everybody's like, ugh, he's weird. Like, that's the only thing people had to say about him after. That had to be so hurtful.
Yeah.
John Douglas believes this was business related. I believe he was right. I do think that that's a possibility, that John messed with the wrong people and that it was.
Yeah.
A business deal went south, says Ashley. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering the same thing. He was referring to his alarm clock. Because what I had stated with they believe whoever it was entered the house while they were away. That's what John said, was that he believed someone entered the house while he was away, and that's how they got past the alarm system. But I could be wrong. John got him beautiful and sweet new wife, Jan.
Oh.
Well, that's good that he remarried. How old was the younger son when she passed? You know what? I want to say around 8 or 9.
Yeah,
maybe?
he was fairly young. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
This is the picture of the suitcase and the window that we talked about.
Yeah, this is where they believe that the suspect exited the house. And then there's another picture where I circled around it because that was something that the detective was saying that they didn't look into, the police didn't look into, was there's broken glass on top of the suitcase.
Oh, on top of the suitcase. Yeah.
Yeah, there was broken glass on top of the suitcase, and they were like, why would that be there unless it was someone exiting the house?
So I guess that's when they opened the suitcase and found that her DNA was also inside the suitcase.
They didn't collect the glass or do anything with it. It was the detective later that went back and saw the glass and in the picture, and he's like, there's glass on top of here. How come this isn't in evidence or wasn't talked about in any way, shape, or form? So it was just the guy seeing it in the picture. I don't think they saw it at the time.
Oh, and one mystery said there was also a faint shoe impression.
Boulder police had set a review of the case in 23. Yes, and there was something to do with the DNA recently as well. But I did find the former DA. So I watched, it's called Mile Higher. It's a podcast. They do a really great job with true crime stuff. And they had the retired Denver DA, Mitch Morsi, on there. And he was talking about the company he owns. And he gave out a lot more information on how familiar DNA works and how you have to volunteer to offer that up to, yeah, it's Kendall Ray. You have to volunteer to offer that up through like 23andMe, you know, where you send off to have your DNA done, and that the police don't actually get your DNA. They just get to find out if there's any link with your DNA. They don't actually. It was really interesting to listen to him because I've always wondered about how the DNA works and how they're able to capture criminals from cold cases through the DNA. So it was a very, very good podcast to listen to, not just for this case, but to understand DNA and how that works. He was also saying, and this blew my mind, you think that maybe it's harder to solve these cold cases because maybe it's expensive to do the DNA. That's kind of what I thought, was it's expensive to do the DNA testing and all that genealogy stuff. It's just got to be expensive. No, this man said the most expensive case that he has ever covered only cost him $5,000 to do.
Wow.
Something that is that inexpensive should be happening everywhere. There is no excuse for having all these cold cases when it is that affordable to run like DNA.
Yeah. Now this picture that we're looking, is that JonBenét?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember on that picture. One solved mystery will probably be able to help us with which picture this is.
Yeah, because it looks like I see an arm. So I think
that's not this crime scene. That's the Helgoth crime scene. Yeah, most of them I tried to label, and then I'm telling you, I had a heck of a time getting situated today. So this was not meant to be put in there, most likely. Then his leg on the left. Yeah, they have, like, you'll pull up the crime scene stuff on Google and they have a bunch of things mixed in, and then they have things that are from like movie scenes, and trying to pick through all of it is challenging at times.
Okay, so this is a picture of the taser, right, or a mark?
Yes, Joe.
Yeah.
Very much. Familiar DNA testing, that is the only way they will find the right guy. But the BPD says they are still waiting for the technology to advance. But he did say that not to worry about the sample going bad or anything like that. Apparently, they have double what they normally have as far as DNA samples, because he told them they needed to take double, and so they have double what they normally would have as far as DNA in her case. And this just shows the marks from the stun gun.
Right there.
Oh, okay. So he was a suspect in JonBenét. That's why his crime scene photo was in there. So that is somebody that was a suspect in her case.
Okay.
Interesting. So what do you guys think of, there are dozens of pieces of evidence that have never been tested. In particular, they have never untied the knots used for the, oh wow. Oh wow. So any last facts, because we're running up on our hour here, that you guys think we should know, or anything you learned in this discussion that you guys were like, oh, wow, I didn't know about that. That's kind of new to me.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about it here.
And for me, I didn't know about the DNA, as far as realizing after 2 weeks that the family wasn't even a suspect. So that was news for me.
Looking at David Cooper, I think that is the key. Okay, I'll definitely look into that for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, One Solved Mystery.
Yeah, OneSelf, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this information with us. That's what these once a month live discussions are for, is I want to learn as much as I can about these particular cases. They've always drawn me in, and I'm like wanting to gain as much knowledge as I can. I figure the more eyes, the more people researching, the more information I can gain from them. That's true, Joe. She didn't have, you know, a child star life. She didn't have to live that type of life, for sure. I'm so thankful for you guys joining us in this discussion tonight. I also want to mention that next month, I'm going to mention it again just so we can all start researching it now. I would like to do the Menendez brothers. And if you are not familiar with them, there's a whole lot of craziness there. And Rosie O'Donnell has been talking with one of the Menendez brothers. No matter how you feel about Rosie, her podcast covers a lot of her conversation with one of the Menendez brothers. So check that out so we can all talk about that next month.
Yep.
Joe, I do agree. I do agree that there was some lines being crossed with her family. Tommy. But yeah, there was a lot of you here tonight helping us with this discussion, so I appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate it. Yes, this is our second one, right, that we've done so far, and we're really enjoying doing it once a month. So we really appreciate everybody coming in and interacting with us.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that if JonBenét was still here, she would be, according to my notes, 33 years old.
Oh,
33.
wow.
So kind of crazy to think about that, but yeah. So I think that wraps it up for tonight. We will be back next week with a paranormal story. I'm excited for that. And I will be back on my computer, and we won't have all the glitches and things that caused.
I think we did good. We made it through.
We did. All right. Well,
thank you, Christina.
Definitely, lovelies. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you have an amazing week. Wishing you all much kindness and much love.
And we're sending love your way. Good night.
Bye, everyone.